First, seek to understand before trying to be understood.
All open-ended questions are what, where, when, why, how.
When you're cold calling a prospect, it's interrupting, right? You're interrupting their day.
Hello Sales Nation, I'm Bryan, host of the Salesman podcast and founder of the Sales School. In this video, 5 of the world's leading sales and business experts share their thoughts and tactics on how to deal with the initial objections that we all get when we cold call people, companies, when we do that cold outreach. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click subscribe. And with that all said, let's jump right in.
I would just say truth and confidence are the best tactics that you can use, and humor. You know, the truth is that this is my job, and I realize that, hey, I'm calling you out of the blue. I'm not, the call that you might have expected, but the confidence is that we help, people just like yourself to solve, whatever problem that you're calling about. And hey, I know that it's not fun getting these calls, but the truth is we've been able to help a lot of people. Do you have, 5 minutes so that I can show you this information or send you some information? I would say truth, confidence, and some humor, and just have fun with it, man. It's a practice. You're never going to be perfect at it. Just keep trying and trying new things and try to have a good time, while you're doing it.
Yes. First, seek to understand before trying to be understood. Zig Ziglar said it best. You can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. When they're giving an objection, they at least care enough to give an objection, so seek to understand where they're coming from. Whatever story you're telling yourself in your mind is just one version of the story, and there's always another side. Go explore it.
There are open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. About 70% of the people I've been training on this didn't realize what I'm about to tell you. All open-ended questions are what, where, when, why, how. Okay. Closed-ended questions are would, could, should, is, are, do, does. And so what I encourage people to do is list a specific objection that you have, right? Let's say it's pricing. Okay, well then you need to come up with a whole bunch of who, what, when, where, why type questions. Then you need to come up with a whole bunch of is, are, can, could, should, do questions, open and closed-ended, so that you're ready when you get that objection. Which question you're going to use, which tactic of open or closed is going to be based upon the entire conversation you've been having with someone and the context from which they're saying that objection. So for me, that's the strategy and tactic. So it takes a little bit more planning and timing. And usually I tell people to do this in small groups with their sales team so that they can get the right questions. But that's what I teach people to do is make sure you understand the value of open and closed-ended, what they really mean, and then go create a bunch so you're ready when it happens. So open-ended questions when I'm trying to be a little bit more investigative, right? Like, where's that coming from? What's making you say that? Closed-ended is oftentimes for me to end that particular part of the conversation or try to confirm another step, right? So if someone says, well, Richard, we just can't afford that, I could go down the open route of, okay, well, what makes you say that? Or I could go, okay, I understand that price is too much. If we could get to a more reasonable price, could we move forward? And so it just depends on the context of that entire conversation as to which one I'm going to use and when.
The first thing that you got to do is understand the difference between objection handling and negotiating, because this is something that crops up time and time again when I'm coaching and working with B2B sales professionals. They're trying to negotiate an objection, and that is not how you go about doing this. Objection handling is getting someone to buy into you or your product. It's a change of perspective, it's a change of belief, it's a change of ideas. A negotiation is going back and forth. It's taking one thing off the table to lower the price or adding one thing on the table to raise the price. It's back and forth, is a collaboration. Objection handling is not. The best way to look at objection handling is very simply through a visualization. Let's say you've got a road, there's a big hump in the middle of the road, and you're never going to be able to go straight through it. You're never going to be able to smash through this. You've got to drive around it. And that's what you've got to do when a potential customer has an objection. It's very rare that you can negotiate with them and say, well, it's not that big of a deal because of this, and it's not this because of that, and try to negotiate with them. That doesn't work typically because they've got a strong belief. They've got a firm belief. And until you show them an alternative that belief stays default in their mind. So rather than saying, well, we could perhaps go over it if we go a bit slower or do this or do that, we just say, hey, let's place that. That's valid. We can come back to that later, and we go around it. 9 times out of 10, we don't need to even discuss it again. It never comes up in the future. All we're trying to do in a cold call, within a cold outreach, is just get a conversation going. These objections that people are throwing out, they don't mean what they're saying. They're just trying to get you off their back for a second because they haven't seen the value that you can potentially offer them yet. So we need to change their perspective. If something is really digging in, they really can't go without this one thing that is the roadblock that we've got ahead of us that we can't deal with. We can't change our product or service to negate this. Then they're not the right customer for you. They're not low-hanging fruit. Forget them. There's plenty more people out there. If you can't just say, right, we'll come back to that in the next call. We'll come back to that in a minute and go around it. Forget about it.
So when you're cold calling a prospect, it's interrupted, right? You're interrupting their day. And a lot of times they're going to throw up their hands and just say, nope, not interested, all set, whatever. The question I like to ask is, okay, I understand that, but if you could tell me something, please. What about my message did not resonate with you? What that does is it gives the listener the opportunity to sit back and say, oh, you know what? That's not actually it. You interrupted me. I'm in the middle of a big project. Start over. Tell me again. Or, we're not in the market for what you're talking about. Or your message was terrible. It was all this marketing gobbledygook and I didn't hear anything of value to me. So I love that question. And so do your buyers. Your buyers will help you be more successful, but you have to ask them.